we've had accidents on my boat before. Had a guy stabbed. We had a guy last year in the Jimmy Johnson. We had a guy have a marlin go through his leg, a white marlin. And then we've also had another one jump in the boat. And when I was fishing with Rich Barrett before the tournament, we had one jump in the boat too.
And how did it start out? Like, what was the origin story?
Too much alcohol.
Really? Okay.
Says if God wanted us to have fiberglass boats, he would have given us fiberglass trees.
It's for fishermen. It's not for taking the wife and the wife's friends.
I think that it's a really, really pretty boat.
And then there was a blur that went by and ended up in the cockpit, as far as if I can remember correctly.
Welcome back, State of Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm Nick Carullo. I'm joined with me, my co-host Anthony Pino, with Hooked Optics and Captain of the Blood Money. No guests today. We're just going to be talking a little bit about what's going on in the Northeast. Anthony's going to talk about some of the tournaments and the fishing, and might get into some Dominican Republic stuff. So, Anthony, what's going on up there? The Mid-Atlantic's going on now. You guys are sitting this one out.
Sitting this one out, dude. Fishing is not great. Far from great. It's like as bad as it's been in 15. Some people say even 20 years. And considering like boats are running around with satellite shots and sonars and things like that, and crews that don't miss now, like it's bad. Like it's really bad. So it's a lot of green water. We've had earlier in the year, we had like a lot of west and northwest wind, and that kind of shapes it up for everything, like it's crazy. Like 2 or 3 weather events in April and May can dictate how the whole season goes. And it is really, there's always a chance that it gets better, but by this time of the year, at least from Virginia Beach to Cape May, it's pretty much sucked all season. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, so we fished the Big Fish Classic, which was a week before the White Marlin Open, and we were 2 for 3 on blues, and we were able to win top boat out of just 2 for 3 on blues. That was it. There's another boat caught a white and a blue. The tuna fishing was good, and a lot of guys spent that tournament sword fishing. A lot of good guys spent it daytime sword fishing and nighttime sword fishing because you were out there for 2 damn days. So there was a lot to weigh because of the swords and the big eyes, but there was only one blue marlin weighed in that tournament out of like 160 boats or something like that.
Oh, how big was that fish?
I think it was the Gretz 3Js. I think it was like 423 pounds. I mean, big enough to win almost $300,000 if I remember correctly. It was good for them. They fished hard, so good for them. And then we rolled right into the WMO, White Marlin Open here, the big event. And you got to come up here. I'm glad you didn't come up here for that this year because the fishing was sucky, but the event itself, there's just so many people around town and the marina. Like it's
just over 400 boats this year.
Yeah, so it was down. I was blown away. I think it was 423 last year, so it was only down 18 boats to 406, I think, maybe, or 402, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's an incredible turnout.
Yeah, considering fuel's $5 a gallon and the fishing is borderline awful, but I think somebody's got to win.
Yep.
So and the Billfisher and Big Eddie Wheeler won.
Your boy Duffy.
Yeah,
guy's on a tear.
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit. I didn't talk to him much. I just congratulated him because they've been fishing this tournament since the 80s, and I told him he was like just annoyingly good at fishing, and it was. It's just annoying. Like you're just like, it's a certainty that he's going to win something in all these tournaments,
Were you by him during the tournament?
I fished. I started out with him around each other, and we both caught a white real quick, and we watched the Max Bet release a blue that was right there. There's a little fleet there for a couple minutes. We were way out in 1,200 fathoms behind the Baltimore, like 90 miles, and on this little piece of not so green water, right? And we started out in the same, all kind of in the same spot. There was a couple bites right there in the morning, and then everybody kind of went their separate ways. And I fished inshore, and I got sick of like beating up my same spot, so I just picked up. And I think he fished offshore to the northeast, and I don't know why he did or why he didn't. I don't know why I fished inshore. And then it was super flat calm. So with fishing slow on super flat calm days way out in the deep, I'll just like pick up and run and just drive around. Like I'll drive. People watch me do it and I'll just be like, I'll be running one way and then I'll run the other way and then I'll run back this way and then I'll do like a circle and I'm just looking for something to fish on because like there's nothing to fish on. So I'm like looking for a little grass edge. Sometimes last year in the Mid-Atlantic, we caught 7 out of 9 and missed a blue on a bubble edge, like literally just this little current edge had that created a little bubble edge, and I just followed it for like 6 miles.
Wow.
But those are super slick calm days, and I learned that from Johnny because one day years and years ago, not years and years ago, probably like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was the same conditions. It was July, and he just like, I think he caught like 3 whites and 4 blues, which is unheard of. They catch three whites or 3 blues and 4 whites. They catch three blues is a thing up here. That's a really good day blue marlin fishing.
Yeah.
And he said he ran around until he jumped up a bunch of flyers and he sat there and he fished for a little bit and caught a fish or two, and then he'd beat up the area for a little long and he'd pick up and move again. And like I said, it's got to be like super flat for this tactic to be really effective. But I ran around and I ran south of everybody because the bites were progressively moving from north to south. So I was like, I'm just going to be the furthest south boat. You know, it's kind of the opposite where you guys seem to be the one of the furthest north boat typically. Yeah. I was like, I'll be the furthest south boat. So I ran down there and I just got lucky. I found a little temperature edge and I guess there was a pallet laying there, and I wheeled around and I saw something that caught my eye splash. I was like, damn. So I wheeled around and I pinged one on the sonar, and there's a blue marlin that swam right at me, and it like swam around the boat, and I could see it on the sonar still. And I was like, why not just see if there's one on the dredge, because I swear there's one back there. And as soon as we pulled the dredge and it got crushed, one of the flat lines got crushed. It was on a 25, so a 25 with 30-pound main line and 60-pound leader, and it was, thankfully, I don't think after watching the video over and over again, it wasn't big enough, but it was close.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he wasn't like obviously big enough, because I think somebody would have got hurt, because he gave us 2 shots that he gave us 1 shot before we could even get the gaffs out. And then the second shot, thankfully nobody like reached out there with the gaff. I was like, I don't think he's big enough. And we popped him off, thankfully. But if he
got the release.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, but if he was like, because that tournament had to be like 113 inches or something like that. It had to be a pretty big fish, and I didn't think it was that big. But if it would have been a solid fish and we would have got a shot, I think somebody would have got hurt, because we've had accidents on my boat before. Had a guy stabbed. We had a guy last year in the Jimmy Johnson. We had a guy have a marlin go through his leg, a white marlin. Wow. And then we've also had another one jump in the boat. And when I was fishing with Rich Barrett before the tournament, we had one jump in the boat too. But yeah, we weren't going back to, was I near Duffy? No, I was in the general area, but I didn't see it happen like some of the guys did. Like, so I mean, he only caught 2.
Where was he when he killed that fish?
He was just like maybe 8 miles northeast of me. Like out there in the same, we literally started fishing right next to each other, and then they kind of, I wouldn't say we were right next to each other, but we were in the same. When I put my eyes in checked who was in the fleet, he was like a half mile away from me, and then he kind of fished off to the east, and I fished down to the south, and so we caught the blue and we caught a white, and then I didn't hear him even catch it because my radios aren't very good, but yeah. My mom texted me. She said, I don't know how she knew first, but she's like, the Billfisher's coming in with a fish. It's like, what? So I didn't see it happen like some of my friends did, or some of our friends probably saw it happen. But yeah, 1 of 2 fish. I did watch the second place fish get caught right next to me, the Sea Student, the 71-pound white, and yeah, just part of it. You know, you're out there in the right spot. And the sucky thing is about these tournaments, man, the cool thing is you can win life-changing money. The sucky thing is that only a couple people win. And not that because I think that the Billfisher deserves it, because I was talking to him, but you have to get like super lucky. Like you can catch 10, 15 whites in the White Marlin Open and not not weigh one of them. And I think as far as the Billfisher goes, it was a statistical certainty that it was going to happen because they've been fishing this tournament for since 1985, 82 or 85 is what they said. So almost 20 years. And since I don't know when, I know that since I've been fishing, the Billfisher's always been one of the top 10 or 15 boats. On a bad year, they might be down in 20 something, but typically they're fighting for that top boat as far as how many fish are caught. So they weighed their first fish last year, and I think they were second or third. They weighed their first fish last year, the first one, and since they started fishing, and then they get lucky and they find this fish. And it's not, when you think about how well they do in this tournament every year, it's not really luck on the day it is, because there's 10 boats around, and the boat gets, at the end of the day, they were always going to catch that fish because they've been catching the most, for the last 15 years. I think they deserve it. They do a really good job. Like I said, they're annoyingly good at fishing, but they're very, very nice people. And our Billfisher frame is our best-selling frame at Hook Optics. So we appreciate them lending the name to us, and they do. Like I said, they're really good. I used to work for them, and they're very, very good. We model our program off of their program, so they deserve it. So I'm super, super happy for him and Eddie Wheeler. And I think the Southern Seas won the big money in the tuna tournament. But there's $3 million plus fish in that tournament: a tuna, a blue marlin, and a white marlin. So
Tuna won over $1 million.
Yeah, I think so, or close to it, like 960,000, something like that. So at one point, it was going to take all the money, because up until the last day, or the second to last day, there wasn't any billfish weighed.
Oh, geez.
So yeah, go to here goes to show you. There's what we figured out of 1,200 days fishing, 406 boats, before, let's call it 400, fishing 3 days each. 3 billfish were boated. Legal billfish were boated and weighed. That's crazy. That's astonishingly slow.
How much did that other boat win that weighed the white?
It was the Sea Student from the Gulf Coast. What the heck's Ken's name? The captain's name is Ken. I met him years ago in Isla Mujeres. But yeah, I watched that one get caught next to me in the binoculars. I was like, but I think the second place boat won like $220,000. So a pretty crazy discrepancy, because there's three major winner take all bets in Calcutta's in the tournament. There's a 5, a 10, and a $20,000 winner take all. So basically, it's crazy to think that one fish is going to win that much money. So and it's happened many times before in the White Marlin Open, where the first place fish wins $120,000 and the second place fish wins $2 million. So kind of.
Is it true that I heard Duffy they lost a blue that was gigantic?
That's what I heard. They said it was as big as the fish they killed last year in the Mid-Atlantic. So that was on the first day they lost it.
So I don't know. From what I heard, they broke it off or something
like that. Yeah. So we'll have to get them on the pod to clear all that up. But yes,
I would love to hear that story, because I was like, what?
On noon on Monday.
That's fucking retarded. Another fish just as big. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it goes to show, like, Johnny's a pretty mentally tough person. He's not outside of having a meltdown when something like that happens, because I've been on the receiving end of said meltdowns. But to actually like recover like mentally after that and be like, we can still go and fish. And you lose a fish like that in the White Marlin Open, especially the way that you would have been like, that was $4 million, because who knows if there would have at that time would have been a white weighed. So it's like, that was $4 million we just lost. And because it would have rolled down to the blue, and eventually it would have rolled down to the tuna if it wasn't anything else. But yeah,
I heard that story. And then do you know who Greg Bogdan is?
Yeah, I've heard the name. Yeah.
He's a Palm Beach guy, great fisherman. I mean, he fishes up there, and he fished. I forgot the name of the boat he was on, but I guess they had a really big fish on the leader. I mean, maybe bigger than the one Cabana had, and I guess pulled him off on the leader or something.
It happens, dude. I will say, I mean, we had a blue marlin on a 130 in the big fish that we were trying to kill, or not kill, but get a good measurement on it. And I definitely have a big respect for people that like the difficulty of killing a decent a qualifying 500-pound plus blue marlin in adverse conditions. It was no cakewalk. And granted, my mate is kind of inexperienced, which I'm fine with. He's a young kid, so that probably would have having somebody that was more confident on the leader. But even then, you start to get nervous on the sticks, and to be able to do that, I think is pretty cool. Sometimes they just come up there and lay there for you, and other times they're not so. They're not so crazy, or they're not so cooperative. So, yep. Eddie on the Cabana, another boat that puts in the time, won over $1 million with their 511-pound blue marlin, I believe. And
they fish a lot. And they do well, man.
Was there any Miami guys on that boat?
James David,
Brent
Fetter. I know my cousin was supposed to be on the boat and couldn't get the time off. But yeah, James, of course. James always doing well himself.
Yeah. So so I mean, at the end of the day, like, you look at the board, and it ended up being a decent tournament, but it was pretty bad. So at the end of the day, I was just happy that it didn't. Not that the guys on the Southern Seas don't deserve a lot of money for the tuna, the giant big eye they caught. I think they beat the big stick out by like 1 or 2 pounds on the catching the tuna. So not that they don't deserve it, but it's called the White Marlin Open for a reason. I'd like the money to at least go to a billfish, if not a white marlin.
Has the money ever been totally won by a tuna?
I think no. There was one year, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, that the blue money rolled down to the tuna. There was no blue caught, and the blue money rolled down to the tuna, which put it up over $1 million. And there was I can't remember what the controversy was with it, but there was some controversy about the money, and they had to go to court. I figured it out eventually, but I can't remember what the controversy was. But yeah, they did roll down to where the tuna paid almost as, if not as much as the white that year. But it all depends. There's so many variables in what people decide to bet on, and what's caught. Like we weren't planning. We typically don't get in the tuna stuff, but my guys were like, well, the tuna, it might go to a tuna because the fishing was so bad. So yeah, man. And then we fished the Poor Girls and had a blue marlin bite and a white marlin bite both days. Thankfully, we caught them, and that was enough for my crew to be like, I don't think it's worth the another 100,000 for the Mid-Atlantic. So we're sitting that out and hopefully going north to where they live this year. Up off of Montauk and Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket, I guess.
That's cool. Have you done that before?
I've not been that far up there, so I've never been that far. I've been up to the Hudson. We fished the Hudson because one of the owners of the boat is from Manasquan, New Jersey. So whenever the fishing's good up there, we just take the boat up there and then go fish the Hudson. But we'll be going to Manasquan and then going 200 miles to the east. So gonna go out there for 3 or 4 days.
How long do you think the boat will be up there for?
I don't know. I mean, right now it's just that trip, and then we'll figure it out after that. But I don't see the fishing getting any better here. Like, I just, unless the wind blows that big eddy that they're fishing up there all the way down here, then, which is unlikely since that thing hasn't moved 6 inches in 3 months. So I don't think so.
That sucks.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, so I don't know. It's got to have the good years with the bad. Hopefully next year's better, but hopefully maybe it'll get better at the end of the year. But my professional opinion, and if you ask my lady friend, I spend way too much time looking at shots, looking at water shots. So, so I don't know. It sucks. It's not great. So I don't know what else to say, but it is brutal, man. When, like, I don't know, I'm sure you've had sailfish seasons where you just know it's just not going to be that good. No matter, like, I've had really good people that I look up to. They're like, I haven't had a bite in 3 days. Like, guys that I consider like my heroes. I'm like, dude, if you're not getting through bites in 3 days, what the fuck am I? What the hell's what are we gonna do?
So how many boats are in this tournament? I guess it's probably
they limit it to 125 in each port, and I don't know how many are actually fishing. I know they were down at middle of last week. They still had 30 spots open. So I don't know how many they were down, but there's more than a handful not fishing it. So
Do you think they had over 300 boats?
well, they don't even allow over 300 boats. They cap both. You can in this tournament you can fish out of Cape May and you can fish out of Ocean City, and they cap them both at 125 boats.
Oh, okay, I got it.
So because this tournament, unlike the White Marlin Open, actually like has like a tent and they feed you, and like on Monday, Wednesday, Friday there's drinks and stuff like that. So which is cool. I mean, everybody says the White Marlin Open should do that, but there's 4,000 people participating in the White Marlin Open. That's a little difficult. Yeah. So
a lot of food.
Yeah. So yep. So, but I guess your boy Kyle is on his way in with a big one, or big enough one.
Yeah. 113. He texted me and he called it 500. So we're waiting for that text. Hopefully coming in here pretty soon. I'd like to hear.
I can't remember if the limit it's either 105 or 110 in this tournament. And typically, I mean, I always look at the rules the night or two before the tournament. So, but I can't remember because I'm not fishing it this year. So, but it's a little bit easier than the White Marlin Open is 114, which is a pretty large one.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I texted him on the inReach this morning. I said, "How's it going?" He said, "No bites." And then I said, "Let's go. She's coming." And then next minute he texted me an hour later, said, "Just boated a blue 113." I was like, "Holy shit!"
It's pretty cool, man. It's the attraction of these tournaments up here is that you can have a shitty week and then they could all turn around in one bite. Like. Which is quite frustrating to me because I spent my entire career trying to get consistent and good and catch more than anybody, and then next thing you know, it's like, oh well, nobody really cares about your 11 you caught this week, and just give it to the guy who caught one. Yeah.
What was the top release boat last week?
I gotta see. It was definitely the Mama C. And can't remember what they won. So the Billfisher won $4.5 million. The Cabana won $1.2 million, and the Southern Sea won $1.2 million. And the discrepancy between the Billfisher winning $4.5 million and the second place fish was 197,000.
197,000.
Yeah, there's that.
That's a big difference.
That's a quite large difference. It's rather deflating as far as I'm concerned. So the top boat was the Mama C, and they had 700 points.
But isn't there on that? I'm guessing if that boat was across the board, I mean, isn't it like a 50, 30, 20 split on that? Or
no, because the top three Calcuttas, the 5, 10, and the $20,000 Calcuttas are winner take all.
Oh, wow. There you go.
So like, yeah, that there is Calcuttas that are 50, 30, 20 or whatever maybe, but the majority of those Calcuttas are
this winner take all.
Yeah. So it ends up
hence the prize winnings.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, we should have won top boat. They caught 2 sailfish, 1 white marlin, 1 blue marlin. They caught 2 blues, 3 whites, and 2 sails. So
and how much they won?
3 days of fishing. I think they might have won 80,000 or something like that. I can't remember what the Calcutta pays for that. It ain't much. Yeah. So we were second place, and I think we won like $25,000 or something like that.
You would think there'd be a big release division.
I mean, there is because there's a release division. I think there's 70 boats in the release that caught fish in the release division. So I would assume like there's probably 100 boats in it, that's a big tournament in and of itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but
that's what I'm saying. You think there'd be, you think you'd win like 200 at least or something.
Yeah. I think it's 1,000. The Calcutta is $1,000 for the release division.
I mean, because out of 100 boats, if you went out there and won most releases, I mean, that's a fucking pretty badass accomplishment.
Yeah. Let alone 400 boats, Yeah. So, but yeah, I think it was I think it's not over 100 grand because that Calcutta does play out 3 places, but the dailies are winner take all. So you can, if you can like put 2 dailies together and then win the release division, you might be able to pay for the week,
Yeah.
So the top 5 boats were the Mama C, the Billfisher, which goes to show you there's a big fallacy. I think it's a fallacy up here, is that people, really good fishermen that I really respect, to do really well when they're not fishing this tournament or this week's tournament, the Mid-Atlantic, when it comes to like fishing. They fish for one big bite. You know what I mean? They fish in a place where they think there's going to be a big one. Well, I've seen the big one come out of the middle of the fleet where the numbers are as many times as I've seen it in some obscure location, you know? So I think it's just blind luck. And I think that people like go bargain, like when you talk to people about fishing, and these are people on my boat, everybody around that go, oh yeah. You know, I was like, I'm going to try go here. Maybe I can have, get 4 or 5 bites or something like that in the morning when I'm talking to people. And they're like, all you need is one. I'm like, well, that's not how, like, now I'm starting to think like, that's not how it works. Like you don't trade all your bites that you might get for all the one bite that you might get.
Yeah.
And it's a 90 pounder, typically when you get one bite during the week in the White Marlin Open, it's still going to be a 50-pound white marlin like the rest of them. There's a reason why they give away $4 million for the biggest one.
Yeah.
The biggest little marlin is what I call it. Biggest little marlin. But yeah, the top 10 boats were the Mama C, the Billfisher, the Lights Out, the Hydrosphere, the Catch 23.
What did Lights Out get?
Third
in the release.
Yep. Old Chester. Yep. They caught 2 blues and 2 whites. So yeah, we had enough. We were in 11th. We had enough to win that. We had enough bites to win that. But the guys would have had them been damn near perfect. We pulled off a blue one on the plug. It's kind of annoying, but I'm happy. 11th place out of 400 something boats. I mean,
can't beat that.
Yeah, so
pretty
it's
good.
just at least I felt like I got enough bites to give us a chance to catch a big one. And then you can let luck take over from there,
Oh, one day it's gonna hit for you.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Duffy family on the Billfisher. 20 years. They wait.
You do it long enough, man. Your chances go up.
Yeah. So I'm working on my 15th. This is my 15th White Marlin Open. So
it's got an update from Kyle. He's 25 miles from the cut.
Ask him. He's not gonna say where he was, but
yeah,
just ask him how far he was from shore, because then I'll know where he was.
Well, I feel like it's pretty damn far because boated it at 2:15.
Did he fishing at Cape May too?
Yeah.
I think I know where he was. The only place where you would be if you were fishing at Cape May, in my opinion. So good for him, man. He's had considering the crappy fishing, he's had good fishing.
Yeah. We'll see.
That's what's going on up here, dude. A lot of money for a couple people and a lot of donations from a lot of others. So kind of annoying.
Typically the way it works.
Yeah, I get that, but I don't know. I think they should take these winner take all Calcuttas and pay them 3 spots. I think that would just make it a little bit easier to do it, But enough people just say fuck it and throw their $60,000 in and go fishing. So it's like they shouldn't change it because it's working. It's the biggest tournament in the world. Yeah. But we I'd like to see it pay out 3 places, and not that was in the top 3 of anything this week, but shit, it would only paid out 2 and 1 anyways.
Yeah.
So but I'd like to see the huge Calcuttas go 3 places, and still makes the winning fish over $2 million. So
yeah. So
it's a big lottery, dude. Sometimes I envy you guys in South Florida and Costa Rica that is just kind of, you have more influence on chance of winning the big money than just saying, hey, I caught 10 or 15 this week and none of them were huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. And you're down on the DR, kind of switch spots a little bit.
Yep. Swap places. Just flew home yesterday for a couple weeks, take a little breather. Boss flew out, and but yeah, fishing is good. I mean, it's always good for the salty fare. You're on that boat.
Yeah, those guys fucking vacuum cleaner.
But I think we did pretty good compared to the other guys. Those guys, not taking any credit away from them, but they do fish probably 4 or 5 hours longer a day than everybody else.
They want it, dude. They're there. They want it. And when we were there, we got really spoiled. Like we took, because we get up here. I get out of bed at 3:30 in the morning, and we leave the dock at 4:30. And so to be able to, first of all, the whole being on the boat and just waking up, having a coffee, and it's already light, like we wake up at 6 o'clock and kind of mosey around, hang out for a little bit. The Salty Fair is already leaving. It was like a novelty for us that we didn't have to get up at 4 and leave the dock at 4:30 in the morning. So by the end of the week fishing with my groups, they were like, why don't 8 o'clock seems like a good time to leave the dock? And I was like, well, fuck it. One day we went out there and we left the dock at 8 o'clock in Casa de Campo. We were fishing by 8:45, and they had caught five out of the 10 that they caught that day. So it's pretty impressive. But
they leave in the dark and come back in the dark. It's
every day, no matter how long the days are. Yeah,
dude. They were there. We were fishing we'd fish a day, take off a day, fish a day, take off a day. The boss was there the whole time, so he was like, he didn't want to wear himself out, which
is fair,
fine with me. Yeah. And so, Salty Fair went probably 12 days straight at those insane hours.
Yeah, and the guys that the owners are like they're not young, like 50-year-old boat owners. They've owned a boat for like 20 years. They're just still just as mad at them. I think it's badass, and James and Casey do a great job. They're definitely fun to be around too.
Yeah. No, James is a great dude, man.
Yeah. So did you fish out front at all, or just you went straight to the fads?
Yeah, straight to the fads.
I think you have to be from Puerto Rico to catch anything on right out front. I think that's the rule. I spent 4 days out there, and all I did is watch Puerto Ricans do circles around me with white marlins on. They're like, I thought you knew how to white marlin fish. I'm like, not in 120 foot of water. I've never seen a white marlin in 120 foot of water. I'm out there in 12,000.
I wonder if they're there right now. There's quite a few whites, on the fads right now. I wonder how that translates to out front right there.
Yeah. I don't know. Going to
we had some grass. Some days the grass was, almost practically unfishable.
In out front or
no on the fads. Yeah,
wow, yeah.
There was days when we had decent days, but where you even raised a handful more fish, but we had grass on everything, and they're just like paddling back there and just like, all right, well, nothing you could do.
So obviously if the grass is super heavy, you pull the dredges out, right?
Yeah, honestly, I'd say out of the entire trip, we probably had the dredges hanging, I'd say more than half the time.
Wow.
I would find like a clear spot and, put them in, and I would kind of work that clear spot at least for a little bit. And then I'm like, all right, well,
the clear spot's never where you actually want to be though.
Pretty much. And then for whatever reason, you always seem to mark the fish under the patches and stuff too, so go figure.
Yeah. We didn't have it that bad down there when we were down there, but everybody's like, everybody talked about the grass, and they're like, well, you're not here the right time of year, so that's just fair.
It's supposed to be clearing up here soon, so definitely excited for that. But yeah, it was good. We had some good calm weather there for a little bit, which you don't really get calm weather in the DR too often, so it was definitely enjoyable to be able to run out the inlet there and not get your head pounded,
because you come out that inlet and it's right there in your face. There's no like Casa de Campo, at least you can go 15 miles and it's still calm, but fucking there it's right in your grill, right
away.
Some of the biggest waves you're going to encounter is right there, like the first half mile.
Yeah, there was some days it just takes you 30-40 minutes just to turn the point.
Yeah,
it's fucking brutal. Especially this boat, my boat's 58, so I know some of those other big boats, they kind of plow right through it, but
yeah,
I don't really have that luxury.
Yeah, I consider our boat a pretty darn good riding boat, but like when we were fishing out front there, I would just do 12 knots still for 40 minutes until we started fishing, which would only put us like 3 miles offshore.
I did that a bunch just to the point, man.
Yeah,
that 8 miles it's relentless.
Yeah. But it should be good. It seems like the weather gets a little bit better in the summer there, right?
Yeah, like I said, that past probably 8 days was, man. A couple of days even too calm. I mean, complete
Yeah.
slicked out. I mean, you run out the
I like
inlet
that.
and you wouldn't even get spray on the glass. You know, you're like,
That's what it was like the day we left.
you really appreciate those days.
Yeah. So you go up there, you fish the fads north, almost directly to the north and to the northeast and to the northwest, I guess, too, right?
Northwest, yeah.
Yeah. And off of a town called Macau. I didn't fish here, but I kind of learned it a little bit. And I mean, what's the fishing like there? Like, it seemed like you had some decent days, white marlin fishing, a couple days of blue marlin. What was it like for you guys?
Yeah. I mean, our better days were, like 4 for 7 on blues one day. Another day, 4 whites and, 4 or 5 blue shots.
Wow.
On the same day. So pretty good days. And then other days, just handful of white shots. And then other than that, probably, 3 blue shots a day. I mean, decent fishing. I mean,
That's
definitely
super consistent though. That's, it's not definitely not wide open like you can have, like you had there when you were on the Temptress and every day on the Salty Fair, but it's definitely super consistent. And it's kind of what makes you want to go there. That's why we went there.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, even Salty Fair, I mean, and there was guys are dialed in more than anybody. I mean, I'd say on their average days were, like 5 blue marlin and a white or 2, so reality, it's still, I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to say it's slow, but it's still not, give it a couple more months and it's going to be probably firing off.
Yeah.
But a bunch of boats just rolled in, that Singularis rolled in, Blueview, Sandman.
Oh,
So the marina's pretty damn full. And I know there's probably a few more boats coming. So.
gotcha. The Sandman's nothing but consistent there too.
Yeah.
So how long are you going to be there?
I think we're probably gonna end up staying through October, maybe fish that tournament there on October and then maybe head home after that.
I got you. You're not going to go do the St. Thomas thing?
I don't think so.
I got
I
you.
mean, if we would go, we should go now. I mean, I know Corey Gillespie's having some pretty decent fishing down there now. On that, was it the Lunatico?
Yeah.
I don't know, caught 5 a few days and, those are good sized fish. So that's pretty decent fishing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's up in the air. Boss is having fun. So who knows? Team keeps having fun.
important.
We might
Well,
stay.
October, it starts to get really good there, right? September, October, November gets good in Cap Cana.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, when I got there 2 years ago, we got there in the end of October and, it was firing October, November, in December. It's great too.
Gotcha.
So we'll see. I know everyone kind of flew out now. I think the Sandman's probably the only boat fishing this week. We'll see how they do, but I know Salty Fair crew, they all flew out. Singularis guys, Black Gold and Warpath. Warpath had some really good fishing days.
Gotcha.
JJ, they caught 6 blues and a couple whites one day, so pretty damn good. And I know he had some good days off the fads too. I mean, still where the fads in the area were, but not really fishing on top of the fads and getting bites really good.
Gotcha.
Pretty cool.
Well, we had, I don't know if I told you, but we had, when the fishing was slow there in the spring, Ryan on the Outlier and I started going out to the Mona Island, fishing this east, or it'd have been the west side of Mona Island. We had pretty consistent fishing, nothing great, but there were some nicer fish down there. So I don't know if anybody ever gets bored and it gets super slow. Might be
What's
worth
that, like 30 miles?
30 miles, yeah.
That would have been a good day to go there on that one of those slick, calm days.
Yeah. The birds are atrocious there because there's so many birds live on there. You can't get very close to there, but you don't have to. You just fish the southwest side of between the, like on the mouth of where the water goes in the 2 islands and seem to do fine. Yeah,
I'm
man.
gonna try that one day.
It's cool. It's like you're going to, like, when you go out there, you see this just giant island in the middle of nowhere. Like it's like Jurassic Park. I don't know if there's like, there's not like granders swimming around there. Maybe there is, but ones where we caught were not. So yeah, man, pretty much it.
Good stuff. Well, we'll be waiting to hear what this tournament does this week.
Yeah, Kyle Sherman, 3's enough. The cool thing about the Mid-Atlantic is you can, if he's on the board, he automatically wins like 60 grand. Like, and then every day he's on the board, he wins money. So if that's the only blue marlin caught if he goes wire to wire, that would be badass.
Nice.
Because you could, like, win a whole lot more money that way.
Nice.
So the Mid-Atlantic does a better job spreading the wealth than the White Marlin Open, but it's still super top heavy.
Cool. We'll have to do one
Yeah, man.
after the end of this week. See what you fill us in with everything.
Sounds good, bro.
All right.
If you guys enjoyed what we're doing here, wouldn't appreciate it if you guys stop by the Billfish website and the Hook Optics website. Check out, we're really working on our Instagram page. It's no Billfish Instagram page, but we're working on it. So
Hey, I'm ready.
Cool.
Ready to see my glasses.
the 305s, that's what we're calling them. And everybody from Miami wears them. So a couple more months, buddy. I'm hoping by sailfish season you'll have them.
Nice.
So
I better
Cool,
have the
bud.
first prototype.
oh yeah. We got to get your prescription, so we put your prescription in them.
Oh, that's right.
So
Sounds
cool,
good.
man.